If I would like to have an overview of whether the patient's data varies as a function of time, then perhaps it is more insightful with a cumulative search. So I'm trying to click the icon here. I can see that the system remembers the patient's social security number from before. It could be that I was down in the intensive care unit and wanted to look at the fluid numbers. Therefore, I will use a so-called search form. I click here and I see that I can choose between two search schemes. I choose liquid numbers, and it could be that I would like to see the liquid figures at the top of the search form. But I would like to have the other analyses for reference below. So that's why I click here and I click OK. And it now happens that the system has retrieved the 10 youngest requisitions with analysis results. I can see here at the top that I have the patient's number. I have the patient's social security number, I have the test date and time, and if I look here, I can see that the requisitions are getting younger and younger as I go further and further towards right. I can see which department initiation. It's in this line here. I can see here that I have my fluid numbers. They're at the top, which I also asked for before. And I can now see how the parameters vary as a function of time. I have the unit and I have the reference interval. I can see that there are several green marks, and if I want to see what information is behind it, I will click on it. And I see that unfortunately the analysis failed due to analysis difficulty. I see here that there is a comment. I can also see that comments are attached to the requisition itself. And I could try clicking on it here. And I see that Dr. Hansen must have the answers when they submit. And here are the samples from all departments. I can see here that I have loaded 10 requisitions out of a total of 32. I see number 32 down to 23, so the 10 youngest. Again, if I want to load more requisitions, I press this key. And I now collect the additional 10 requisitions with the associated analysis results. I ended up clicking twice, so I got 20 more, so I now have a total of 30 out of 32. If I want to see the slightly older analysis results, I scroll this way. I want to see the analysis results further down, so I scroll this way. It could well be that I wanted to have these analysis results printed, and therefore I can click on the button here called Print. And I can see that a dialog has now appeared where I can enter a time window, i.e. a start and an end time. And if I only want to see the requisitions I have on the screen, I can just put a check mark here. I won't do that now. We will return to the chapter on printed later. It was a brief search in the Labka hospital package. We're shutting down here. I will now show you a little about how you can search in Labka Hospital's package. I place the arrow on the little icon with the man with the magnifying glass up here and activate the icon. I now get a dialog box where I can enter a social security number. I enter the 13th of 10.55, where I use a pseudo social security number, and activate the OK key. What happened now was that the system retrieved a subset from the 10 youngest requisitions and displays them in this way here. I can see the test date, the applicant and the applicant code. Up here I can see the correct patient's social security number and the patient's name. If I look here, I can see that the information is sorted in test date order. I have the youngest requisition up here. I can see down here that I have activated it at 18.28, that I have picked up 10 requisitions, but I can also see that there are a total of 32 requisitions. If I want to pick up some more, I can press more requisitions. I now see 20 picked up here, that they are 32 in total. If I want to look at the youngest requisition, I click on this line here. And we now see that the system has retrieved the previous information. I have the correct social security number, the correct name. I can see here that I have the requisition numbers. These are the same numbers that are also on the sample glass. I can see when the test has been taken. I can see who initiated the requisition. I can see there is room for volume. It is used in connection with e.g. urinate. An end date may be stated if there is talk of a collection period for the sample. And there may be a note attached to the requisition. I can see here that I can't see it all, so I'm going to click on the mark up there. And now I get that the information is listed here. I see that Dr. Hansen must have the answers as soon as they are available. I've seen that now, so I'll go back and click on that tag. I can see down here that I have the analysis names. I see I have some group analysis. I can see here the results, the values. I can see the unit and I can see the reference intervals. I can see here that there is a K from the reference interval. This means that it is age dependent. This interval is obtained on the basis of information about the patient's age. And they are calculated based on the patient's date of birth, via social security number and then test date. There are therefore tables behind the system, which can consist of intervals and curves, which mean that I can calculate a current reference interval. If there had been G here, it could have been based on a basis of information about the patient's pregnancy. I can see here that there is some information that is labeled. And that means the field is cut off. It might not mean much here, but it would have been a disaster if I had cut off a digit. It is on this safety measure. I see there are some green marks here. If I click on them, I can see that the analysis has unfortunately failed due to analysis difficulties. If I click down here, there is a hint of light in the sample material. If I want to see the other information down here, I can scroll, as we see here. And I scroll back that way here. I see that there is here a somewhat rarer analysis. Something about a clotting factor. And I would like to know something about the analysis result in question. How should I evaluate that result here? Therefore, I will click with the right mouse button and look at analysis instructions. It now happens that it ends up on a browser, and there is some information regarding the evaluation of the analysis in question. I'd like the image to be a little larger. So I'll click on that mark here. And some information is now emerging. I see here that I get information about the recommended therapeutic intervals. Some suggestions for treating coagulation in patients. I can scroll down here and more information will appear. I am giving others some information here, which I can use in connection with evaluating the result. Some information prepared by a clinical chemistry specialist. I can scroll down more here. There can be a lot of information. I can see here that there is some blue text with an underline. This means that I can get detailed information by clicking on this information here. And I am now getting further information. In this way, the information can be linked together. It was brief about requisition-oriented search. I close here and I also exit here.